All right, guys. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today, it is a new week. It's September. It's the last day of September. We're about to head into the fall and winter months with October. Generally, once we get into the fall months, we get more volatility. Like most of the time, the market's more volatile during the fall and winter months, and then it kind of slows down during the summer and then heats back up during the winter. Specifically, the best months really overall for the market are, I believe they're November, December. Maybe October could be added in there. But yeah, looking at the markets, they're all kind of dipping down a little bit. If you look at the Q, it's down. If you look at the SPY, it's down. If you look at NVIDIA chart, they're all down today. We'll see what we get moving forward this morning. But yeah, let me know how you guys did last week. This week today we have Jerome Powell speaking later on today, but it's like much later on. So it's this afternoon. We're going to stream it all like we always do. Yeah. So we'll get some music playing here. Yeah, I'm looking at the news. Let's see. Looking, a lot of traders looking at crude. Verizon is reportedly close to a deal to sell towers unit to Vertical Bridge, according to Bloomberg. AT&T is going to sell majority interest in DirecTV Entertainment. So yeah, AT&T is smart. They're getting out of DirecTV. They see the writing on the wall. You know, specifically regarding streaming. Streaming, like, you don't need DirecTV with streaming. Let me pull up my source for news. Alright. Yeah, so also NEO stock is up. The EV maker gets a $2 billion new investment. NEO's parent company, they're injecting almost $2 billion into the firm, as well as the state. So again, a lot of stocks over there entering a bull market. 3 of China's largest cities relaxed rules for home buyers, while the central bank also moved to lower mortgage rates. The latest measures were among the key elements of a sweeping stimulus package released Tuesday that also included interest rate cuts, freeing up cash for banks, as well as liquidity support for stocks. And again, AT&T is going to be selling the controlling stake in DirecTV to TPG for $7.6 billion in cash payments. That's going to go on through 2029. Looking at like AT&T here, I believe it's just T, right? It's gapping up a little bit on this deal. It's up to 2205s in pre-market, 2205s. I'm going to look up some more news today. Hope you guys had a good weekend. All right, so Kraken online crypto platform identified an issue where some German clients may be experiencing delays on their cash funding transactions. Yeah, I'm looking at some of these other stocks, news reports. September is the last.
Yeah, I'm still kind of mad about that Saints game. So we got Jerome Powell speaking today, and then later on this morning, we have Chicago PMI. We also have Michelle Bowman speaking at 8:50 Eastern Standard Time this morning, so that might be relevant. Tomorrow we have the rest of the week's very busy. So like every other day this week except for today is pretty busy. The rest of the week is slow. Or no, today is a slower day for economic reports. The rest of the week is busier. Yeah, hurricane affecting everybody. Yeah, it hit North Carolina. Sad. Ugh, politics, man. Man, lives in Newton. Yeah, I've got some family that lives in Florida. It says he's speaking about the economy at Ventures. So they say he's speaking about the economy, but we'll see. So yeah, electric vehicle manufacturing climbed up for NIO after reports of strong September deliveries and positive sentiment around the Chinese EV market. IQ streaming services gained about 13% today, reflecting investor confidence in the company's future growth. We also have BEKE, which is a Chinese real estate platform. It went up almost 14% by, the surrounding optimism about their EV market. Stellantis, STLA, automaker saw almost 14% rise in pre-market. Stellantis dropped almost 14%. So that's what we see right now. All right, so again, NVIDIA down to 118.50s here, 118.50s. We'll see if we... Yeah, so when does Tesla delivery numbers come out? Is it today? Wait. When is... Is it today? No. Okay, sorry. Okay, well, we know AI doesn't get it right because it says... Wait. Yeah, so the delivery numbers are due. I'm trying to make sure. When does the delivery numbers for Tesla come out? Yeah, Tesla delivery numbers looks like it's Wednesday. Yeah, I was thinking about buying some property by the beach. The reason I didn't is because, like growing up, we had this one specific set of condos that I would always go to the beach in, and these one specific set of condos in Florida. And my family would go to these condos every year. And we loved it. It was our main spot that my family, my mom, dad, and my sister would all go. Well, eventually, the entire condo unit that we went to was just kind of destroyed in a hurricane. And I always remember thinking, why in the world would you build stuff there then? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I think investing in property in the beach is risky, you know. It depends on where it is. Like, maybe if you get one in those big towers, it's fine. That's understandable, I think. But, like, outside of that, yeah, where's Super Micro at right now? Super Micro all the way down to under 300s for a point. Back up to 413, so it looks better, but still had a pretty big downfall. You know. All right. I can't hear. Is it my device? Yeah, I think it's just you. Y'all could probably hear me, right? Oh yeah, Michigan's different. Michigan's in the middle of the U.S., in the middle of North America at least. So like that's a different thing than you know. That's just a different thing, you know. All right, I'm going to do a poll here. I realize I haven't done a poll yet. The question is, does the SPY break lifetime highs again this week? Yes or no? Does the SPY break lifetime highs again this week? Let me know how you feel. Yeah, it's rough, Pawn. I hear a lot of bad stuff about these hurricanes, man. Why did the market sell off all of a sudden? And in what regard? Like where? Like where are you talking about? Here's the SPY, here's the Q. I mean, the markets are down a little bit. They're not going to go straight up. If you look at the SPY here, you know, here's a 20-day chart. We've had a really strong, you know, September. Like September has been a very strong month for the market, at least for the SPY. You know, here's where September started here. You know, even if we start out here, like September's been green. So again, people always bet on these like September slumps and stuff. But you know, it doesn't always follow through with exactly the sentiment people want. Like here's September in the SPY. September opened up right here. So September started here. So we are green on the SPY in September. On the Q, at least so far, we would have to turn like a pretty good ways back to not be green. You know, and here's September. For the NASDAQ here. NASDAQ's green in September as well. Again, not super green. Like you can kind of see, here's the, like, let's see, this opened up. The NASDAQ opened up at 473.20s. So we opened up about right here in September. And so we, here's the net green that we're up. So unless we turn around and pull all the way back down under that, it's going to be a green September month. Yeah. Yeah, so again, Tesla upcoming delivery numbers this week, they're expected to reflect strong growth in sales from new markets, including India and Southeast Asia. Investors are watching it heavily to see how the company's expansion efforts are impacting its global footprint. Netflix is in focus as analysts weigh on the company's upcoming earnings, which is expected to show the impact of its password. Wait, is that true? Wait a minute, wait. You know, you gotta look at AI to see how accurate it is. Netflix earnings. Okay, Netflix earnings are in a couple weeks. Okay, so maybe this is true. It's expected to show the impact of password sharing crackdown and new ad-supported tiers. Positive momentum could drive further gains if Netflix has good results or shows benefit. Visa is getting watched ahead of its earnings release. Netflix drops their earnings October 7th, or 17th, I mean. So in about 2.5 weeks. Visa drops theirs October 22nd. People are paying attention to consumer spending patterns, and international travel are affecting payments. Investors are going to be looking to data around cross-border transaction volumes for this next quarter. Intel been making waves following its recent AI initiatives and partnerships. Its expectation is that its upcoming earnings report may show gains from these new ventures. Here's Intel, and a lot of people want that. Intel's still down a lot. Intel all the way down to 24, so a pretty big drop in Intel. Intel's earnings come out October 31st, so at the end of this upcoming month. And then 3M is seeing pre-market weakness. I don't know, it says 3M is down, but I don't see it. So, yeah, earnings season is upon us. It's almost here. What do you think about Rivian? I think Rivian it's got its niche. It's better suited versus a lot of these other brands. So it's better suited than a lot of these other brands. So yeah, DirecTV is acquiring EchoStar's video distribution business, including Dish TV and Sling TV. And I think that's the move, right? Like, I think if you can't beat them, join them. And I think a lot of these satellite TV companies like DirecTV, you don't need to slap a satellite dish on your house. I say this 1,000 times. You don't need to do that anymore. And so how do these companies succeed? Well, they're smart with acquisitions. They buy up some of the streaming services, which Sling TV is not really a big one anymore. It used to be big when it first started. But since Sling TV, like, a lot of other companies have followed suit, and there's a lot better ones now. You got like Fubo, which I don't really think Fubo's that good. Hulu's good. Prime is good. YouTube TV is good. Like, there's a lot of TV services now, and it's branching off into all these other aspects. And so I think a lot of these companies like DirecTV, I think their move is to acquire some of these streaming companies. If you can't beat them, join them. And I think they need to join them, because if they don't join them, they're going to lose. They're going to fail. I think, that market has evolved, and you don't need, you simply do not need to slap a satellite dish on your house anymore. And, I think if you can't beat them, join them. I think you gotta, I think they have to pivot away from their current business model, because again, it's not going to survive. So again, going back to Rivian, right? Rivians are cool. Like, have you ever seen a Rivian car? They're cool. I've never really been in one or seen one. I do see, like, the way I have to judge it, and this might not be the most accurate way to judge it, but the way I have to judge it is I have to look at how many I see driving around in my area, right? Like, I'm looking at production numbers on their end as well. Rivian, I see some in my area. I see some driving around, right? I know one of my neighbors has one, and so I see some Rivians in my area. Again, if you don't know Rivian is an EV maker that mostly focuses on SUVs and trucks, and they're pretty cool cars. I wonder how fast are Rivian trucks. I'm curious. Okay, so the Rivian R1T Performance dual motor electric can go from 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. It's pretty quick. It's pretty quick. It can also go from 5 to 60 miles per hour in 3.7. I want to know the quarter mile time. That's what I want to know. Wow. So the Rivian R1T quad motor electric truck, 0 to 60 in under 2.5 seconds, quarter mile in 10.5 seconds. Top speed of 130 miles per hour. So to put that into perspective, honestly, that's cool. So to put that into perspective, that is a very, very fast. That is a truck that will beat almost any car on the road. Again, 10.5 mile, quarter mile is, that's a freaking drag car. It's not as fast as the Tesla Plaid Model S, but it's freaking fast. A lot of people don't understand how fast that is. Like, I've got we have I'm not going to say what it is, but we've got a twin turbo. Like, one of our cars is a twin turbo car, and it's like a fast car. Very fast car. It does the quarter mile in under 11 or under 12.
seconds, and it's very fast, like really really fast. And so to do under 10.5 seconds quarter mile, that's really quick. That's really quick. I'm trying to find a picture, but again, it's a quad motor, so it's basically freaking four motor. But you can get some. I don't know. Let me see. I'm trying to see how much these things are. I think you can get them for like 70K. Just how much is, you know, Carvana. Dual performance engine. Yeah, you need the quad. They're cool. I mean, I don't know that much about them, but they're alright. You know. Would still smoke a Hellcat. What does a Hellcat do quarter mile? I thought they were faster than that. I thought Hellcats were faster than that. 12 seconds, 115 miles an hour. If you get the SRT. The 2018 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat can complete a quarter mile in 10.9 seconds. So it's still going to beat a Hellcat for sure. Alright, we got AMC. When somebody's asking me what's going on with AMC, I don't know. AMC did just move a lot. I'll have to look it up. I'm trying to change the song. Yeah. What's going on with AMC, chat? AMC's moving right now. All right, so a lot of people are saying it has to do with record-breaking weekend performance at theaters. Company announced that it set new 2024 records for both attendance and admission revenue across the U.S. locations, driven by the release of Deadpool and Wolverine. It not only had a massive opening weekend, generating $205 million domestically, but also set new records for the highest food and beverage sales since 2019. AMC saw a significant boost in global attendance, over 6 million moviegoers at its theaters worldwide over the weekend. It's energized the stock, and people are optimistic about it now. But again, AMC, what we're talking about is AMC dropped significantly down to 430s and back up to 450s right now. So it dropped a lot already. Yeah, so AMC went all the way red down to 430, back up to 450s here. So I'm trying to see what's going on with it. All right, guys. So AMC Entertainment said between August 5th and September 30th, the company entered into a series of privately negotiated agreements to extinguish unsecured debt in an aggregate principal amount of $152,923,002. So basically, they're trying to get rid of some debt, which is good. Obviously, it's optimistic if they are trying to get rid of some debt. Hey John, can you briefly explain what's going on overseas with new Chinese stocks and new policies? So basically what's going on right now, and you're seeing it reflected in a lot of stocks from over there, right? But what you see going on specifically right now is you see, so it's kind of like, now it's a different market, but it's kind of like the United States going more dovish, right? What does dovish mean? Dovish means like stimulating the economy, bringing interest rates down, like trying to encourage spending versus discouraging spending, ultimately trying to push, like trying to stimulate spending in real estate and the economy, right? Like that's basically what they're doing overseas right now. They're being much more dovish in that regard. They are bringing interest rates down, pushing people to buy homes and all that stuff over there. And so that's influencing all of it. That's kind of what's going on. Can the upcoming port strike affect the market? It could. I'm not sure if it will. But yeah, it's a bunch of stimulus. What, you mean AMC? It only moved 3 cents? No, it moved from 430s all the way to 455. So, you know. So it moved like 25 cents, which is better than nothing. I mean, for AMC, I mean, you got to think of it in terms of percentages as well. You know, so like if you look at the actual percentage, 25 is what percent of 430? You know, it's 6% for AMC. It's a 6% move this morning in pre-market. You know, really in the last 10 minutes, 11 minutes. So to move 6% in 11 minutes isn't small, regardless of how people want to phrase it or whatever. Like it's 6%. How's the news going to affect gold? I'm long position. I don't know. We'll see. Where's gold at? Gold's pulling back a little bit, although it's had a pretty good run. You know, again, last Thursday it broke lifetime highs at 2708. Nvidia is bad the last few days. I don't know if I'd call it bad. It might be down. Like you got to think about it in terms of like gains and losses, you know. So like really Nvidia is kind of flat over the last week. So here's the last week of price action in Nvidia. Let me move myself over real quick. So like here's the last week of price action in Nvidia. So like you can kind of see this is like the last week's flow, where we started off down, we went up, we kind of pulled back, had this big run, and then kind of gave it back here. So really we're kind of flat. We might be slightly green over the last week or so, but it's not like we are it's not like we're super weak or anything. It's not like we're breaking lows. Like we just kind of gave back some of the gains that we made. The big thing is Nvidia earnings. You know, the next Nvidia earnings report is going to be November, you know, but earnings season does start again too, and maybe that'll influence everything. Why is Nvidia dropping? You know, no idea. Let me look it up, see if we can find anything. I know MU had earnings last week that helped it. So maybe it's just kind of those corrections that we're getting. MU is down a little bit as well. So MU had earnings and it kind of started to give some of it back. But yeah, stock market futures are down slightly today ahead of Powell's speech. Again, Powell's speech could provide clues about the central bank's plans for further rate cuts. And that's why you want to pay attention to it. Like the reason it's important is because Powell might update us on what his plan is. Like the last time Powell spoke, his plan was to do 50 last Wednesday, 25 the next meeting, and then 25 again. So we would be cutting rates by a full percentage point this year in 2024, a full percentage point in 2024. And again, that would mean 50 last Wednesday, 25 the next meeting, which would be in November, and then 25 again in December. So that would be a full 1%, because when you say basis points, you're meaning in decimals of a percent, right? So 50 basis points, you know, is 0.5%. Okay, so when we say 100 basis points, what do we mean? We mean we are dropping rates by a full 1%, a full percentage point. And so, again, Powell's plan, what he said, was essentially that they were going to be cutting the federal funds rate by a full 1% this year. Now, if we look at what the plans are now, like in terms of the central bank's plans moving forward, now it's kind of changed a little bit. Or actually, now it does follow that path, right? And so, again, currently, if we look at this, currently we are at 475 to 500, basically 4.75 to 5% is what our current interest rates are. Again, you got to put it in percentage terms. So currently, where are we? We're at 4.75% interest, 4.75 to 5%. You know, you can call it 5%, I guess, just to make it easy. And so, if we are cutting rates from 5% down to 4.75% here, then that's 25 basis points. If we are going to cut rates from 5% down to 4.5%, that's 50 basis points, right? But again, we're going to have to listen to Powell to see what he says about this, because Powell might give us an update on what their plan is. You know, I know this had changed a lot. Like last week, the percentages were really weighted towards 50 basis point cuts in the next meeting. And so here's basically what we could see in the economy. Okay, so basically right now we cut 50 basis points this meeting. Now, let's say Powell goes crazy and cuts rates 50 basis points every single meeting here on out, right? So that means last meeting we cut rates 50. This next meeting in November, we're going to cut rates 50. And then the next meeting in December, we're going to cut rates 50. How many is that? That's 1.5%. You know, that's 1.5%. And so that would be bringing rates down to that would be bringing rates down to 4% by the end of the year. So that would be bringing rates down to 4%. And that's a really, really dovish Powell. That's if Powell is like really aggressive with his rate cuts, which I don't think he's going to be necessarily. I think he tries to be balanced, right? And I feel like he's kind of sizing into it, right? So we might do 50, 50, 25, or we might do 50, 25, 25. Either way, we should at the very least this year get at least a full percentage point. So at least by the end of the year, we should be down to 4.5%. You know, and again, to put that into perspective, just this year we were at 4.25% to 4.5%, right? So we were at 5.25% to 5.5%, and so we're at least going to be bringing interest rates down a full percentage point this year. For the federal funds rate, by the summer of next year, we're going to have a lower interest rate real estate market, you know? And so what does that mean? That means that maybe prices go up for houses, maybe prices go down for houses, I don't know. But by next summer, we're going to have a lower interest rate real estate market. And so let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think happens over the next year? What do you guys think happens by next real estate market, next kind of summer real estate boom in 2025? Do you guys think markets are good or bad? Of course, I understand some are going to say, oh, it's the end of the world, we're in a recession. I get it. But genuinely, what do you guys think next summer? A lot of people are waiting for after the election anyway. He speaks at 1:55 market time today. 1:55 market time today is when Powell speaks. So 1:55 market time today. Nvidia is dropping because of super micro semiconductor news. Yeah, so again, Stellantis, which is the European maker of Chrysler and Jeep, said it now expects the full-year adjusted operating income margin to be between 5.5% to 7%, which is down from its previous guidance of double digits. So people are kind of pessimistic regarding that. Again, EV stocks like NIO from overseas are doing well. CVS Health stock went up 1.6% after the Wall Street Journal reported that hedge fund Glenview Capital would meet with top executives to propose ways to improve operations. Nvidia stock is down 1.8%. Bloomberg reported on Friday, citing people familiar with the matter, that Chinese regulators have been discouraging companies from purchasing Nvidia's H2O chips. So again, this is something that Bloomberg reported on Friday. So you can kind of see that news here. And so Nvidia's down a little bit today. Let me see. New vets coming. Yeah, the new vets are cool. No, I didn't get hit by the storm at all, man. When is Powell's speech? 155. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is today's meeting? Versus like all reports, all economic reports, I would say like a 6 or a 7. You know, anytime Powell speaks on the current economy, it's big. People pay attention. They tune in. Now, it's hard to gauge how big it's going to be and how direct he's going to be in terms of his comments, right? It's hard to gauge his directness in that regard there. We don't know how direct Powell's going to be. We don't know if he's going to like directly speculate or guide us in that way. We don't know. You know, he could. Sometimes he acts like he will, and then he basically just says, we don't know. We're going to wait and see. So yeah, we don't really know what it's going to be like in that way. But I would say a 6. You know, I think we're going to have thousands of people here when this happens. You know, we'll have thousands watching on beginner trading. And so that's good, you know, but how much it's going to move the market, I don't know. The question is, how many basis points does Powell cut for the rest of this year? So again, that's a good question. Again, how many BP does the FOMC cut rates by the end of the year? We have 2 meetings left. And again, the way you should say it is total, right? Include last week's 50 basis points, right? That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to basically figure out how much does the Fed cut rates this year in 2024. So you would take 50 basis points and then add it to whatever if you think 25 and then 25, that's a full 100 basis points, 1%. No, the Fed already cut rates, Spawn, so. Yeah, the election's almost here. Honestly, I'm ready for it. Regardless of what happens, I'm just ready to get it over with, you know. We do have Chicago PMI today. So at 9:45, we do have Chicago PMI. We'll see what happens. All right. Whew. Calculating. All right. All right, chats. All right, so I'm doing one more thing. Oh no, dude. I hate math. Okay. Not math. I hate adding stuff up. Let's see, 970 plus 1516 plus 15 plus 27 plus 970 plus 745 plus
13 plus 970. Sorry, I got to do some math here. 553 plus 1046 plus 310 plus. All right, almost done, guys. I'm sorry. 13 970. Almost done, guys. All right. Yes, sorry, I'm gonna do some calculations here. Okay. All right, done. All right, guys, so look at the Q breakdown here. AMC still consolidating. NVIDIA hit 118s, and I'm wondering if 118s is going to be a support level. Dovish speech turns hawkish on the next. Yeah, I mean, that might be what happens. We might get a dovish speech by Powell. I don't know. I think Powell's cutting rates, and so I think what Powell might do, Powell generally tries to stay balanced, right? So Powell might cut rates, and then, Powell might cut rates, but then actually take like the other side tone, right? Because the question, if you want to try to predict the market action that we're going to get today following Powell's speech, you got to think about balance, in my opinion, right? So Powell, we've cut rates 50 basis points. We're probably going to continue to cut rates throughout the rest of this year. And so what that probably means is that Powell might be a little bit more restrictive in tone, right? Because we're being dovish or less restrictive in actual decisions. And so I think he's going to try to balance it maybe and be more restrictive in tone. So basically, I think we're going to cut rates, but simultaneously, while we're cutting rates, Powell's going to be a little bit more restrictive in tone. He's going to say, hey, well, we need to combat inflation. We're not going to keep doing this, blah, 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 right? Like, that's my guess is what Powell's going to do in order to keep it balanced. We also have news that Verizon stock heads for a 2-year high after a $3.3 billion tower deal. So Verizon has been pumping up today just in general stock news of Verizon up to $45 a share. And if you look at this, again, they're heading towards 2-year high. The 2-year high obviously is up here, but again, Verizon, AT&T, and a lot of these communication stocks have not been that good. They've been struggling for sure. It's holding 118 now. I never knew how to. All right, so the Nikkei, the Nikkei you said is down. Somebody's saying the Nikkei is way down today. Strap in, everybody, let alone that and other stuff going on overseas. Yeah, maybe. I mean, we'll see. It's holding 118 now. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Again, Verizon got a $1 billion tower deal or multi-billion-dollar tower deal. Is what's going on for them. Again, $3.3 billion tower deal. Vertical Bridge is going to obtain exclusive rights to lease and operate more than 6,000 of Verizon's wireless communication towers. So we get a $3.3 billion tower deal going through there. Yeah, I just had to go through my account and like delete, like, bro, it would be surprising how many monthly subscriptions that I just kind of left on that were old, that I hadn't used in so long. I'm paying freaking hundreds of dollars a month on nonsense. I had to change it. MU, again, another reason, like, MU is one of the reasons Nvidia pumped up so much in the last few days. MU has kind of settled down a little bit. You can see the big gap up from their earnings. Here's the big move on MU, and now they're kind of slowly coming back down. And so, yeah, a lot of people talking about the port strike. Tesla went all the way down under 260s and bounced right back. All right, so, yeah, we're going to go through. All right, so yeah, we're going to talk about some of these port strikes. All right, so a potential strike by the U.S. port workers, specifically dock workers on the east and Gulf coasts, could begin as of tomorrow. The International Longshoremen's Association, the ILA, represents approximately 45,000 dock workers at major points across the coast. One of the reasons the strike is looming is because negotiations with port operators represented by the U.S. Maritime Alliance, USMX, have stalled, particularly over pay increases and concerns about automation replacing workers. Basically, they're fearing AI, and they want to start getting paid more. I mean, honestly, though, I don't think that's the argument. If you're fearing getting replaced, striking is probably the opposite. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. The affected ports handle over half the goods shipped to and from the U.S., and a strike could have major repercussions in the U.S. A 1-week strike could cost the economy up to $7.5 billion, disrupting the flow of goods like auto parts, fruit, consumer electronics, ultimately causing shortages and delays in industries like automotive manufacturing, fresh food, etc. The impact would ripple through global supply chains, driving up freight costs, causing congestion in other ports. It could create volatility here, and so that's something that you want to watch, particularly in sectors reliant on these imports and exports through the ports. Retailers, manufacturers, supply chain businesses are already making contingency plans to mitigate disruptions. No negotiations were scheduled as of September 29th. So, yeah, this is going on right now. We'll see if it affects the economy. But all right, guys. Somebody said, how is it going to affect stocks? Well, I mean, ports. Companies report lower earnings during periods of extended strikes due to delayed shipments of reduced inventory. Retailers, for example, may face shortages. You know, there's a lot of impacts on stocks from strikes like this, especially like port strikes. Export-dependent industries may experience reduced revenues if they're unable to ship goods. You know, like there's a lot of stuff. Commodity prices are influenced by it. If strikes affect ports that handle bulk commodities like oil, grain, metals, it could drive up prices on global markets due to reduced supply. Yeah, I don't know though. Like part of it, like so Radical says they want to replace them with robots, make them pay now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know though. I think the problem is that like I think this might create more of a need to replace them with robots, if that makes sense, right? So like if you got the option of like a human or a robot, you know, a robot's not going to strike, at least not anytime soon, not until a Skynet like situation. But like if you're trying to prove the if you're trying to prove how necessary humans are versus machines, like doing a very human thing like going on strike might not be the move, in my opinion, right? But again, maybe I'm wrong. Unions, I'm for unions. I'm pro-union for the most part, right? But I also think that sometimes unions can just get crazy, and sometimes they're not viable, and sometimes like they're asking for too much and they're trying to do too much. I think if a business is struggling, like stuff like that can put the business out, can destroy the business, and so I think it context matters, and yeah. And again, with that said, I don't know enough about these port strikes and whether what's going on to really speculate too much into it, but yeah. Well, there's a lot of catalysts for 2020. The big one is obviously 2020 happened. The biggest reason we hit that is because people weren't able to work. Not like they were stuck at home. They couldn't do anything, and that's the biggest reason. Like if you think about what causes a recession and what happened in 2020, it's obvious why we got really close to one. Same thing going to happen. It's going to force AI writers. Well, yeah, writing is going to be replaced a lot by AI, but not always. Like there's always going to be, like, I think if you adopt AI correctly, you can use it as a benefit, not as a risk. A lot of people are scared that they're going to lose their jobs with AI, but I think if you're a writer, as an example, you can use AI to get ideas. You can use AI to get you through like writer's block, and you're ultimately going to be able to produce more, not less. You're ultimately going to be more competitive, not less competitive. Like AI is good, but I don't think it's to the point where it can write like a really good book, like a game-changing book. I think it can, but it's not. It's probably going to be like an average book. There's going to be a lot of mistakes that you're going to have to edit and fix. Like it's just not the same thing as having an actual person writing it. And so I think that's still the dynamic now, and maybe that'll change, and maybe it already has, and I'm just unaware of it. But yeah, I still think people are still going to need writers. It just depends, right? I think creatives in general are in trouble. People creating things are in trouble. Artistic creators are in trouble right now, for sure. I think editors are in trouble. I think there's a lot of, here's where AI currently is causing carnage, for lack of a better word, in business, right? AI is specifically causing problems in business right now, specifically in these subscription services that used to software as a service businesses are in a lot of trouble. A lot of software called, they're abbreviated to SaaS, SaaS, software as a service. Okay, this is like a very well-known business or programming term that basically means that like you're running a business and the business is a software that does something for you. Right now, the big change that we've had in the last year or two versus what we've seen in decades prior to that is like before you could have these software as a services business and ultimately make money. Like programmers, software developers could build different applications and then basically lease out those applications to others through monthly subscriptions and profit and build that up over time, and that's great, right? But what's happened since AI is now ChatGPT 4.0 can do basically everything that most of those software as a services businesses did, right? So you don't need to lease out those monthly subscription softwares anymore to do things, like to produce now. You don't need those anymore. Like really, you could just ask AI to do it for you now, and you can query anything you want to know through AI. You can have AI build you all these different things, and now, of course, like it's going to sprout out more businesses like this, because now you can do the same thing with AI. You can build an AI business that does something like a service of AI and then use AI to build it, and that's great. But it still doesn't take away the fact that a lot of these software as a services businesses are getting wiped out completely through AI. You just don't need them anymore, right? Like AI does it easier, faster, and cheaper now, and that's the biggest change right now in businesses. The other thing is, again, a lot of digital designers are getting wiped out from AI. Like AI's wiping them out too. Like basically, I used to have to freelance. Like people used to have to freelance their own skills. They say, hey, I'll Photoshop this for you, or I'll edit this video for you, or I'll do all this different stuff, or whatever art related business, you know. Now AI can do all that stuff for you as well. So you don't need AI, or you don't need those businesses now. You don't need any of them. You can really have AI do all of it for you now. And so it's a different world. And those businesses are losing steam. And if you look at it, a lot of them are for sale now. If you look at websites like flippa.com, you know, honestly, they're just hoping somebody's dumb enough to buy them, you know. Like, look at all these SaaS businesses for sale. Like, look at this. I go to flippa.com. Right, 16-year site, they're trying to sell it. 6-year site, they're trying to sell it. You know, look at the price reduction. It was $465, it's now $419. 11-year site, they're trying to sell it. You know, 5-year site, they're trying to sell it. 10-year site, they're trying to sell it. And so people are unloading their businesses now. Why? Because AI does all this for you. You don't, and again, these people know it, right? The people selling these businesses, they understand. Right, they understand that AI is going to do everything that their software did, you know, for cheaper and for easier and cheaper. And so I'm sure if you look at, none of these guys are letting you actually see the data, right? None of these guys are actually letting you see the data. None of them are actually letting you see the stats behind it. Like one thing that you'll see is you'll see the profit over time, and the sales over time, and the numbers over time. And if you look at the graphs for a lot of these businesses, they're going like this. Right? And so then they're trying to sell it to you when it's here. Right? And so that's kind of what's going on. So it's one of the reasons, like, never buy a business like this. Like mostly it's people hoping somebody's dumb enough to buy it. You know, if it's too good to be true, it is. AMC. Yeah. AMC's up to 450s. It's up there. I don't know if it's going to hold. AI, it's just like the TV remote. I mean, it's much different than the TV remote, you know. Like, again, businesses solve a problem. You know, the TV remote solved a problem, you know. And again, we can fear technology growth and evolution, just like the people who created carriages feared the automobile, right? But it doesn't mean we shouldn't do it just because of that fear. You know. I went on to play ports. They disrupt supply chain. Yeah, for sure. Buy the dip? I don't know. I'm not saying buy anything. I really have no idea. We're just kind of hanging out. GameStop's pretty flat. If we look at GameStop, we look at MU. Nvidia's down a little bit here too. You know, again, a lot of people don't understand AI. They just hear AI and they criticize it, right? But you have to understand AI is powerful for a number of different reasons. Number one, it's going to cause... So, I'm just going to give you guys an example number, and I am no way claiming this number is right. But let's say in an average year, 1 million smartphone applications are created, right? Or 1 million softwares are created in the US, right? So let's just say that's a number. Again, I'm just throwing up a random number out there. And let's say this is about pretty consistent. Some years it's 1.1 million, some years it's 900K, right? It goes up and down over the last 15 years in terms of software development here in the United States, right? Technology. Now, AI, what AI is going to potentially do is it's going to cause exponential growth in this number. And so this number might go from 1 million to 10 million, 15 million. Why? Because now it unlocks the door for everybody to be able to produce their own software. You don't need to be a software developer anymore to do this. Like, you can have AI walk you through every step of the way and code it for you. You know, so that's going to fundamentally change the way we produce things, specifically technology here in the US and across the world, right? It's going to fundamentally change everything there. And so we're going to get such a big increase in that from AI. And that's why you see AI stocks running. That's why you see Nvidia growing. That's why you see microchip stocks benefiting, is because it changes how you produce things here in the US and in the world, really. What's the Dow doing today? Let me see. The Dow. The Dow's not as weak as some other stuff. The Dow broke lifetime highs. I think these are lifetime highs. Yeah, so the Dow broke lifetime highs Friday. Or no, maybe this was yesterday. Let me see. I always get it mixed up. Yeah, so the Dow broke lifetime highs Friday. So here's Friday on the Dow. It hit 43,000. Good books are personal experience too, so AI can't do that. Right, for sure, 100%. You know, again though, guys, I've shown this hack before with AI. Okay, I've shown this hack before with AI. Give me a list of your favorite books. What are some good books that y'all want to? What's one of your favorite nonfiction books, guys? List some nonfiction books out there. List some nonfiction books. Again, just list some nonfiction books. What's your favorite nonfiction book? Business book. Let's just clarify business book. Robert, I don't know. I don't really like his books, to be honest. Adventures. Think and Grow Rich. I like it. Okay. Think and Grow Rich. All right. Now look at this, right? I want to show you something. So look at what you can do now with AI. Okay, summarize chapter 1 of Think and Grow Rich book in 200 words. All right, so if you want to digest, like people talking about how it's going to produce soft people or whatever it is, if you want to be able to digest information, it causes a massive increase in the digestible amount of information you can get. And so instead of reading the entire book, this is 200 words of chapter 1. Again, introduces the foundational principles of desire as the starting point for achieving wealth and success. It emphasizes all significant achievements begin with a burning desire, which acts as a driving force towards one's goals. Outlines that this desire must be specific, powerful, and backed by a clear plan, as vague hopes or wishes are not enough to create change. He shares the story of Edwin C. Barnes, a man who desired to work with Thomas Edison and eventually became his business associate. His success attributed to his unwavering determination and clarity of purpose. Even though he initially had no money or resources, Hill uses this example to demonstrate the importance of persistence and definitiveness and desire. It sets the tone for the rest of the book, underscoring the idea that thoughts become things when combined with purpose, persistence, and a deep emotional drive. He urges readers to take control of their own destinies by cultivating an intense desire for success, stating that wealth and achievement are within anyone's reach if they are driven by a clear vision and plan. End quote. But again, you can do this with every chapter. Now watch. Now do the same for chapter 2. Oh, not chapter 23. I accidentally said chapter 23. Let me stop it. Now look, this is what I'm doing here, chat, just so you guys can see. Now do the same for chapter 2. Chapter 2, Think and Grow Rich. And so if you want to be able to digest books very quickly, right? And again, here's a perfect example of this. All right, here's a perfect example. Okay, so right now, you've got a bunch of subscription services that would summarize books for you, right? There's a bunch of subscription services. You spend like $40 a month, and they've got like a certain library of books that they'll summarize for you, and you can read summarizations of those books. What do you think's gonna happen? What do you think's gonna happen whenever people realize that you can do the exact same thing for free using AI? Right? Like, that subscription software as a services business is going to go away. You're not going to be able to use it anymore. Or you're not going to need to use it anymore. You can just use ChatGPT 4.0 for it. Look, here's chapter 2. And so that's an example of the software businesses going, like, being rendered obsolete now with AI. It's going to destroy a lot of those businesses. But it also is going to allow people to digest things. Any book, like what I do, guys, I go to the bookstore, or I go to like the book section in any store, and I find books that I want. And what I do is I take pictures of those books. I take pictures of the book. I take pictures of whatever book I like. And then I go home and I sit there and I plug it into AI and I say, hey, summarize chapter 1 using X amount of words. However, like if I want a short summary, if I want to do it quick, I can have a longer summary if I want to do it longer term. And I will be able to read basically entire books within like 30 minutes to an hour, and just digest everything I wanted to digest in that book and then move on to the next one. That's a powerful thing. And again, that's a huge benefit of it. And that a lot of people, don't understand how to use AI. You're missing out on some really cool stuff with it. You can't fear technology, chat. Yeah. That's not too impressive. It's a convenience tool. I know, but isn't that the nature of every other thing? Not every other thing, but isn't that the nature of a lot of things? It's just, again, you got to solve a problem, and that includes convenience. That includes convenience. If you can make something incredibly convenient for others, you can be a billionaire. You just got to figure out what it is. And so I don't think we can downplay it. This is just one example of it. Of course, it's just one example. A better example is like this dream. Like, it depends on how you frame it. You can say, oh, that's just a convenience tool, not a tool anybody needs. What if you don't make a lot of money? What if you can't afford ebooks? What if you can't afford go and buy physical books at the store? What if you can't afford buying the books online? Right? But a lot of people can get access to ChatGPT for free and digest the books for free. That's a need, right? It saves them money. It allows them to read books they otherwise wouldn't be able to. And so, again, it depends on how you frame it. We can frame it however we want, but I think it's useful. And usefulness is the mother of invention. Or necessity is the mother of invention, So, what do you think about futures, day trading? How many ES contracts do you think a beginner should trade? I don't know, man. It probably tiny micro contracts. If you're talking about the regular E-mini, I wouldn't trade any. I would trade micros only for a brand new trader. Murphy's Technical Market Analysis is a book I plugged into AI. Nice. Yeah. Some say more than half of the web articles are AI generated. That makes sense. Remember when cheating was a big deal? Now it's just a transaction. Cheating on what, though, I guess is the question. I'll put it this way. I don't think cheating's ever been a huge deal for a lot of people. I'm not saying me in particular, but I'm saying, look, it's not about cheating. Business has never been about right or wrong, morality, cheating, anything like that, right? It's always been, is this allowed? If it is allowed, I'm going to use it. If it's not allowed, then we'll figure it out. But if it is allowed, I'm going to use it if it's useful, And so I think, because if you don't use it, somebody else will, and it's a race to the top, Yeah, now you can basically have AI read it back to you too, 100%. Oh, did he say creating and not cheating? Let me see. No, he said cheating.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some books I like. Like my daughter's a huge book nerd. Like she reads constantly. She will read a full-on novel in like a few hours. So she loves to read and it's great. Like we got her started really young reading and now she's like a book nerd, which is great. First book I ever read was Where the Red Fern Grows. Super sad book, but I loved it as a kid. It was like my first book. I read Harry Potter. I read a couple other books. What's the difference between cheating and having an edge? Well, one's frowned upon, one's not. Yes. Yeah, even some of the real estate continued education is open book. And so, I know for the open book test, historically, I would have to use Quizlet and basically copy and paste. Now, I can ask AI to basically answer it for me, and it'll get it right, I'm not saying you should use it, but hey. Yeah, I mean, Ty, I can see you're really pessimistic regarding AI, and that's okay. Like I said, I get it. I'm not even saying you're wrong or right or whatever. But I think you got to understand, like, every time there's been a big technology change, people have said the same thing, right? It's very consistent in history. When the automobile came out, people said, oh, well, this is going to make people lazy. Whenever the computer came out, people said, oh, it's going to make people lazy, right? But understand that's very consistent over time. And again, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't think we can hide from tech. I think if you're going to be a stock trader, right? If you're going to invest in stocks or if you're going to trade stocks, you got to look at technology objectively, not just fear it, because if you fear it, you miss out on opportunity in stocks, like morality investing is never really a thing. And it's definitely not a profitable thing, because people might agree or disagree or like things or dislike certain things, but like you're going to miss out on opportunity if you, are too rigid, I guess, in it. I'm not even saying it'll make humans better. I don't know. That's more of a philosophical argument. When do we get Chicago PMI? Chicago PMI comes out at 9:45. Again, I'm not even saying you're wrong. I don't know. You might be right. So we asked people, does the SPY break lifetime highs this week? 52% say yes. 48% said no. Again, here's the Dow. Dow down at 42.5K. 42.5K. Yeah, I mean, I'll try to invest in whatever makes me money. You know what I mean? The people who I see lose the most money over time are people that get really wrapped up in like political bias or politics or morality. And they end up just missing out on a bunch of stuff and then getting upset about it and being biased after it. I think, if you're going to invest, you got to invest in what makes money, and figure out what that is. I don't know. When elevators first came out, people revolted against it. Elevator drivers were a thing. Now they are a thing of the past, and no one thinks twice about it. Yeah, same thing with the carriage, right? The carriage came out, or the automobile came out, and there's a lot of carriage manufacturers that would talk about how horrible it was, and you see the same thing with like EVs now. Like EVs come out, and like you hear a bunch of people talking negatively about how EVs are horrible, and again, big oil. But you got to think about it. Big oil runs the world. EVs a threat to them, and so what are they like? A lot of negatives. Oh, it's the end of the world. They're just trying to get people upset, and regardless of it, efficiency is king. So whatever's the most efficient is going to lead, regardless of anything else. Ubisoft. People don't even want an elevator until you got to walk up 7 stairs of steps, and then that's not fun. My mom won't go on an elevator, believe it or not. So my mom got stuck on an elevator when she was my age.
My mom will walk up 10 flights of stairs to avoid an elevator. Yeah, so my mom will walk up 10 flights of stairs to avoid an elevator. She got stuck in one. It was at like an apartment or something when she was young and nobody was around. She got stuck on it for hours. So she will not get on an elevator anymore. How do you think it'll affect this industry we are in? What do you mean, trading, investing, stock market? Well, I mean, I think it's going to heavily influence us. You know, I think within 10 or 15 years, nobody's going to be investing or nobody's going to be manually taking trades. It's all going to be automated. And I think that's very clearly the future, right? In 10 or 15 years, nobody's going to be manually inputting trades and stuff. I think it's going to be completely automated. Right, exactly. Time is currency. That's the best way to put it, Faye. I genuinely think that's a great way to put it. Because again, people act like it's not needed or it's going to make people lazy. Like they're missing the point, which is like convenience and time saving. Like if you can save somebody's time, time is money. You know, like that is what people are paying for, is saved time. It's not just by lazy people sitting on the couch not doing anything, right? Like if you can save people time, they will pay for it and you can make money doing it. You can be rich if you save people time. And so looking at it like, you know, like it's just some guys on a couch eating potato chips, like, again, it's narrow-minded, you know. In the future, our attention will be monetized. In the future, it already is. You know why? Because like you could look at like advertisements as an example, right? Advertisements that end up failing are like very cheap, very boring advertisements. You know, those are advertisements that fail. What advertisements succeed? If you would look at the ones on social media, the ads that succeed, it's ads that do something crazy. Like the person does something wild and crazy and it gets your attention. It makes you hyper focus. In the age of short form technology, you know, again, I'm not like short form technology is can be negative as well, right? Like I like short form. As somebody that has to edit videos, I hate editing. You know, there's a reason I don't have that many long form videos on my channel, because it takes a long time. Editing is very meticulous. Short form content saves me a lot of work, but it also conditions your attention span to go down. You know, with all these context changes that you get short term, right, where you're getting one context change and then you're getting another, and then you're getting another, and then you're getting another. The long term effects of that are going to make it so that it's hard to focus. You need more and more excitement to focus, you know. And so I think it's smart for everybody to kind of have balance in your life, you know. One of the things that this YouTube, like me running this YouTube channel is good, is because I have to focus on one specific thing for hours, right? Like, yeah, I look at other stuff, we talk about other stuff, we report other stuff, but I have to focus on one specific thing for hours. It's not something in which I am, like, I can't watch TikTok or anything. Like, I have to be on this and focus, answer questions. It's good for attention. No, I know. I understand what you meant, Yowzer. What business would you invest in now at this time and age? I mean, AI for sure. I mean, I'm not telling you to invest in anything. I really don't know what you should do, but I think AI is a good investment. Long term, I think it's going to be like the internet is in terms of how it changes us over time. I think AI is the next big thing, and I think it's huge, and I think it's going to be wildly influential over the world, and it already has been. You know, and again, one of the things that I see mirroring, you know, the late 90s and early 2000s is that when the internet first got big, right, like you heard the exact same things that you hear now regarding it all. Sorry, I gotta exit out of some stuff here. But yeah, when the internet first got big, you hear the exact same things that you hear now. Yeah, so they changed it to plus. Let me see. I need to look at back. Let me check back on this. Okay, yeah, I gotta renew. Okay. All right, guys. So, yeah, OpenAI. If you try to use AI, try to use GPT 4.0. Sorry, I'm catching back up with the chat. If you ever get stuck in an elevator, yeah. I love traveling, yeah. Monetize, I mean, for the person who's paying attention, not the creators. AI, exactly what it is, artificial. When you say AI, that is so broad, I mean, I don't think it is necessarily. I think, I think AI in general is pretty similar across the world. Like what I mean by AI. You know, I think you know, finding ways. Microchips are the easiest like investment path right now. I think investing in microchip stocks is probably one of the ways. But again, it depends, right? Like it depends. Like everybody's different. I think there's a lot of industries that are sprouting up from this, and I think just watching it, getting in on the front end of it is the path to riches and stocks. I think is you know, there's a very famous saying, and the saying goes, most billionaires. So I'm a big believer in diversification. Like I love diversification. I think diversifying into things is smart. It's safe. It's protection. And so I diversify in a lot of stuff. When I invest, I diversify. But I think if you have the money to make risks, to take some risks, I think there's a very famous saying, and the saying goes, most modern billionaires got that way from finding one thing they genuinely believed in and going all in on that one specific thing. Right? Now, whatever that is, you can figure it out yourself, whatever that thing is. But I think when you're trying to identify what those things are that you want to go super big into, you have to get on the front end of different technologies. You know, you have to get on the front end of different evolutions in tech, you know, and I think that takes research. Right now, the easier one is microchips and AI. You know, now, regardless of what type of AI system we're talking about, like microchips are usually powering it right now. Now, maybe that could change. Maybe that means something different. Like quantum computing is also a really interesting thing. Quantum computing is like a supercomputer, basically, that can do really cool stuff. But, you know, figuring out what type of things those are is going to be your own, you know, your own homework. I don't know. Again, I think microchips, quantum computing are really interesting right now. But I also think they could change. Things could change. And so figuring out what that is and taking advantage of it is the next thing. And that's the true with any type of investing. You know, if you really want to do well, you got to get in early. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you're talking about AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. It's theoretical, but it's attempting to create software with human-like intelligence. Right, but again, like, you're using the sci-fi definition of AI, right? Like, what we're talking about, when I'm talking about when I say AI, is just like the current ability that we have to query anything from anywhere, that we can, like, basically the assistance that we have right now. And I think that alone, not even talking about complete AGI, but talking about just the ability to have an assistant for you. You know, again, a lot of people going back to businesses that are struggling. So social media influencers and managers, they used to hire people from overseas. They could hire somebody from like Singapore, or hire somebody from, you know, the Philippines or wherever, to basically be their assistant, you know, for cheap, right? They could hire somebody for cheap and have them be their assistant, right? That was a big business for a lot of people. They were like online assistants. They would do different things, like act in certain ways. Those businesses are getting completely replaced by AI now, right? Like, because again, you just don't need a person to do it anymore. You can have AI completely do it for you now without needing, you know, to hire anybody. You know, you can pay $20 a month and have somebody do it. And so that alone. Now, when we get deeper into like actual AI, like actual artificial intelligence, where it's like a person, we're pretty much there already. You know, so we already have things like that where we can communicate. You know, what's the test? I can't remember the test name. There's a specific test that basically means if you can converse with somebody, it's the, what is it, the Turing test? Let me see. It's something like that. Yeah, the Turing test is a thought experiment that assesses a machine's ability to exhibit human-like intelligence. It involves 3 participants, a human interrogator, a human respondent, and a machine. The interrogator asks both the machine and the respondent questions in separate rooms, or in the same room but physically separated by terminals. The interrogator's goal is to determine which of the two is the person when the machine. So basically, the Turing test is, can you talk to it and be oblivious to the fact that it's artificial, right? Like, can you communicate with it and be oblivious to the fact that it's artificial? Now, if you're talking to somebody with audio, like where you can actually hear their voice, that's a much stricter test, much harder test to pass for AI right now. But if you're just conversing back and forth through text, we've already had AI systems that pass that Turing test in that way, where they're already passing the test. They're already like communicating with other people, and the other people are oblivious to the fact that they're not real. That's already going on to a certain extent. Now, is it perfected? No, but it's already up to that level where it's good. Yeah, you know, the problem, so Dream says some dude released a video this year on how virtual assistant is the best remote gig. You know, again, what I see is like everybody's trying to tell people how to make money online. But some of the stuff is just freaking dumb, you know? Like, they're just trying to talk people who don't know any better on how to do things, you know? Like, again, the example I always use is renting your brand new car out. You know, you'll have these gurus, these money gurus, these finance gurus that basically go around trying to act like they've got some crazy knowledge about business, you know? And again, I'm not even claiming I'm top 3 worst business, you know, educator in the world right now. Definitely top 3-ish. But back to the point. You got people who claim to be business gurus, and they'll tell you, hey, you know, you can if you buy a supercar and you rent it out for 25 days out of the month, you know, you could earn $10,000 a month doing it. You know, and again, they frame it like it's some great business opportunity. On Turo, you know, you can rent your car out. The problem is that, like, you got to think deeper about businesses like this. Like, people are going to destroy. Like, we saw another one that said, hey, you could buy a used stump remover and then basically, you know, remove stumps for a living and make $400 each and make all this money starting a business as a stump remover. But, bro, like, the amount of depreciation that you're going to get renting out a supercar to randoms. Nobody takes care of rentals. When I rent cars, I am dogging those cars out. You know, like I am certainly not taking care of my rental cars. You know, nobody does, especially not a supercar. Why are you renting a supercar to begin with? Because you're trying to floor it. You're trying to speed around in that thing. You know, so like letting somebody do that day in and day out in your supercar, that thing's going to be done with in a couple months. You know, you're going to blow the motor. And so it's just not really feasible. It sounds great.
to somebody that doesn't do enough research, but like, you know, and that's the nature of modern day marketing. It's like everything's too good to be true. It never is. And, you know, you got a bunch of people that are desperate to make money that want to start businesses. They just kind of get wrapped up in it. You know, they just kind of get wrapped up in trying to earn money. But again, if it's too easy, I wish it was like that. I really do. But it's just not. You know, same thing with if you try to buy one of these stump removers. Number one, they said you could buy it for $1,500, but they were using a video of one that was like 40 grand. You know, so like they're just trying to get clicks is the modern age, unfortunately. One area AI's existence is heavy call centers. 100%. Well, number one is you don't need to. The reason commercial is failing is because of that specific thing, Dream. He said call centers. At this point in time, you can't even tell that they're AI, right? Like, you can't even tell that they're AI anymore. So they've gotten so good, you can't tell if it's AI or not at this point in time, you know? And again, that's why commercial is failing. If you look at commercial real estate numbers, let's see if I can find a graph for 2024. Here's the National Association of Realtor numbers. I want to find an actual graph. I don't think I have one. Here's JP Morgan commercial outlook. I want a graph. I'm a graph learner. I want to see a graph. Let's ask AI here. That's a good opportunity. Let's ask AI. Yeah, so you have to tell AI, because AI will just make up numbers. It really will. So when I have to prompt AI for this, I say, look up commercial real estate sales. Give me a graph of 2024 so far. Please do not make up numbers. Look up the actual numbers. Do not give me simulated numbers. Yeah, so it says commercial real estate in 2024 has faced various headwinds, largely influenced by persistent high interest rates, tighter credit, inflation pressures, transaction volumes, office space decreased, and sellers remain cautious. Real estate, however, yeah, so here. I have to make sure it's accurate. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to find real data. Now I'm asking it to make a graph of the last 5 years of commercial trends. Here's the Dow, though. The Dow's testing lows. Let me get ready to trade here. So we haven't traded too much this morning. We are going to try to... Yeah, so we made some money on Friday. Basically everywhere. We're very close to actually getting funded in another account, too. Yeah. Yeah, the Dow's down. The Nasdaq's down a little bit here. So look at commercial real estate sales. So again, look at this. Here's commercial real estate sales. Look how much they turned.
So again, after 2020 with the low interest rate environment that we saw, so here's where the Fed had a low interest rate, like a dovish stance where they're trying to bring interest rates down. And then look at the huge correction that we got once interest rates went up. Like interest rates spiked and commercial has been genuinely corrected. So it says, here's a graph showing the commercial real estate trends over the past 5 years. 21 saw a peak, likely due to post-pandemic economic recovery, like low interest rate environment. The volume has since declined in 23 and 24, driven by higher rates and other market conditions. Yeah, so look, there it is from 2020 to 2024 for commercial. And the question is, does commercial bounce back? I think you can have it up to 3 in terms of how many accounts can you have funded at the same time. I think it's up to 3. All right, and again, we're going to start to day trade here at the opening bell. We also have Chicago PMI at 9:45, chat. Again, we're going to start to day trade a little bit now, too. So we're short. See if we can get in a little cushion today. Can y'all see this? Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so we're short. There we go. I just want to see a little breakdown here. We're really close to it. All right, we just took some off here, but somehow we lost money there. Maybe a bad fill. All right, now we're up 40. Now we're flat. See if we can flush down a little bit. We got one little green candle here. There's $50 in profit. I'm liking the correctional real estate so far. Yeah, so we actually closed on our property, so it's done. The deal's done. We closed. We funded it. Everything's done. So that's good. I'm excited about that. All right, so we got 2 contracts now in this position. And we can try to hold the rest flat. Alright, so I'm gonna take half off here. We just locked some profit in. We made $55. Slightly up on this trade. We kind of turned all the way back down. I want to see if we can break down just a little bit more. There we go. Alright, so we just got out. So we just made $95 on this trade. 95 bucks. Yeah, 95 bucks. Minus 35, so whatever that is. So $60 net. But we were correct about the direction here. So we got a little cushion is what we're trying to do. We didn't have an interest rate chase. All right, chat. Again, we got Chicago PMI data. All right, let me get all this stuff set up. Yeah, so again, we do have Chicago PMI data today. All right, so we did pump all the way up, so it looks like my short there was good. I'm going to short this again here, so we're going to jump right back into it. Short. We got a big upward move, and so we're just going to try to take a little bit from this. All right, so we just made another $50 real quick. All right. Yeah, so Powell's speech today for sure is somewhat big. We got Chicago PMI as well. Also, we're day trading today on Top Step. Well, again, on Top Step, there's no PDT rule. I can day trade short, buy market, sell market, and futures. It's very similar to day trading stocks. Most pro day traders actually trade futures over stocks. And the big thing, like if you want to learn to day trade, is that these funded account programs are actually allowed in futures, which lets you limit your risk. When I got started, I lost $4,000 in the first couple weeks of my day trading. Almost all day traders lose. They're marketed to traders as like, hey, you can be this rich trader, prodigy, savant. You're not going to be that. You're probably going to lose money. That's every day trader is probably going to lose in the beginning. And so it makes no sense to fund your own account. Absolutely no sense to take thousands of dollars in risk. Even if you tell yourself you're not going to risk 3, 4, 5 grand in your account, sometimes you can't help it. You get emotional. It makes no sense to take that risk. Instead, try a funded account program. Top Step is one of the most legit in the world. They've paid out over $40 million to their traders. What they do is they give you a demo and they test your skill with the demo account first. If you pass the test with the demo, then they fund you with a regular account between $50K up to $150K. The base one is only $49 a month. If you use my link, only $49 a month. They're going to give you a $50K demo. If you can make $3K without losing $2K, a 2 to 3 ratio, a reasonable ratio, they fund you $50K with a 90% split. They have some of the best rules in the game in funding. And if you fail, you only lose $49. But once you're funded, you get a 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K, I believe, in profit. And again, most day traders lose. And so if you fail this challenge, you probably would have lost much more if you funded your account yourself. They have some of the best rules in the game in funding. You can add to losses. You can have zero commissions on Top Step X. And so if I try to trade the regular NQ, I can lose thousands of dollars in seconds on the regular NASDAQ. On Top Step X, I can trade the micro NASDAQ and there's no commissions. It's 74 cents in fees per trade, and that's it. And so if you see me trade this here, like if you see me trade this, I'm making $25, $18, $9.50, $11, $12. And so what this allows you to do is limit your risk once you're funded. You can get funded and then trade small and build up a nice cushion, which I have on this account. I'm green on this account. I've built up a nice cushion using micro contracts. You can see here 74 cents in fees per trade, a tiny amount of fees. And that's a big edge that people underestimate how big of an edge that is. Again, they're an affiliate or sponsor of mine. They pay me money. I am biased because of it. Top 3 most biased in the world. I do trade off stream. You're not going to see all my trades. I'm not even claiming to be a good trader. Check out the link right there. In the futures market, you can day trade the NQ, basically the QQQ price action, the S&P 500 price action, basically the SPY price action. There's no PDT rule. Check it out. There's the link. But yeah, in this other one, we're working on getting funded in this other account as well. And we are pretty close. We're pretty close. We need about $700 in profit to get funded on this account, about $700. So that's what we're working on today. And then after the open, we're going to pivot towards... Here, I'm going to short this again. Again, you can kind of see it's very similar to day trading stocks. We've got a cushion on the day now that we're trying to take advantage of. Yeah, NEO's going up because of a more dovish Fed is basically what's going on there. A more dovish Fed for NEO in the EV market over there. Look at NEO. It's up to almost $8 a share. All right, so we're adding to a losing position because we have about a $150 cushion on the day. So we're just going to see if we can turn this around. There we go. We just did. We'll add to it. All right, so we just locked that in. So we're kind of flat now in this position here. And again, even if I'm trading the regular NASDAQ, you can see it's only $2.80 in fees per trade. That's a tiny amount. I want to see a rejection here, but it's starting to pump up, so we're probably going to cut it if it doesn't work out for us here. That's better. We're close. We're kind of flat now. Yeah, it's a monthly subscription. Correct. So I look down here. We're going to have to cut this now. We're probably pretty flat now, but I don't want to add to this. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut it. So we just lost a little bit there for sure. We lost 120. We're about flat on the day. We had already made about that leading into the opening bell. But again, we got to take risks today, mostly because like we're very close to getting funded. And so when you're like this, you just got to take risks. I'm going to stop though. The SPY just broke over the 200 EMA. The big data this week. So this week alone, we got a lot of stuff happening. So this week alone, we have Powell today at 155. So Powell speaks at 155 today. We've got Powell speaking. We got Chicago PMI today in about 35 minutes. Tomorrow, we've got the JOLTS report at 10 o'clock. The JOLTS job opening report, a big economic release. So big economic release. It's called the JOLTS job opening report. That's tomorrow at 10 a.m. We also have manufacturing PMI data at 9:45, and the big one is ISM PMI tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So we got the JOLTS report and ISM manufacturing PMI data at 10 o'clock tomorrow. That's a pretty big report. Wednesday, we have Tesla delivery numbers. So Wednesday, we got Tesla deliveries, and we also have the prelim non-farm payroll report. The prelim payroll report coming out at 8:15. It's called the ADP non-farm employment change. That's Wednesday. We also have a bunch of Fed speakers. Thursday, we got ISM services PMI. We've got jobless claims. We've got manufacturing PMI data. And then we got Fed speakers again. So that's a pretty busy day as well. And then Friday is the biggest day where we have payroll numbers and unemployment. So payroll, non-farm payrolls and unemployment on Friday. That's the biggest day of the week. So that's something that we want to pay attention to as well. And that's basically this week. Very busy day. Every day we got something going on, including today we got Powell, tomorrow the JOLTS report, Wednesday prelim payroll numbers and Tesla deliveries, Thursday jobless claims and ISM services, and Friday non-farm payrolls and unemployment. So every day this week is pretty busy in terms of economic reports. Yeah, to me, we're pushing up too much. I'm going to add to this. It's kind of a risk, but we're also getting our first sideways looking candle, and we've had multiple green candles in a row. And so I don't mind taking the risk here and seeing if we can help our trade. Here we go. We went down for just a split second. All right, so I just took that off, and now we're kind of flat. So that kind of helped us get almost green in this trade. I'm going to see if we can break down a little bit more. And we'll try to cut the rest break even, but so far so good here. We pushed up a lot. I think we're going to need at least a small correction back down, but I might be wrong, and it could just rip up in my face here. So far so good. There we go. I'm going to add to it since it's a winning trade already. All right, we just took a piece off. Now we're green on this one. There we go. Nice little downward pressure coming in here. Let's get some more. All right, so now even if we cut it here, we're still green. But I'd love for it to retrace back down. There we go. Back down. Let me see what Nvidia's doing short term. Nvidia's right at the VWAP, 200 EMA level. I'd love for it to reject and come back down here, but I'm trying to be patient. Never a boring week. So Powell's supposed to be speaking regarding the economy today. He's supposed to be, right? Now he's supposed to be talking about the economy. What everybody's kind of watching Powell for today is specifically his guidance regarding rate cuts for the rest of this year. Again, we talked about this much earlier. I'll go over it again. So Powell, during the last FOMC meeting, basically said that they were going to do 50 this last Wednesday, 25 the next meeting in November, and then another 25. So this would be a full percentage point. 50 plus 25 plus 25 is 100. That's a full 1% rate cut this year. Now, what we're going to be listening for Powell today, and again, we're going to live stream the entire thing. The entire thing we're going to be streaming live, like we always do with any Powell speech. We're going to be streaming the entire thing live as it happens. And so stick around. We're going to cover it all. But what we're going to be listening for today regarding Powell is if that plan is still in stone. Basically, are we planning on now doing 50 and then another 50 and then another 50, which would be a full 1.5% this year, right? His current plan is 1%. The question now is he going to pivot to a 1.5%? Basically, if we do 50 every meeting, that's a full 1.5% this year. We got 2 meetings left. We did 50 in the last meeting. So it's a full 1.5% interest rate cut, which means if that happens, that's much more optimistic regarding like the residential real estate market leading into the next summer, next year in 2025. If interest rates are cut that much, they should start to trickle into everything else like mortgages and auto loans and everything like that. And will that start and spark up a bull run in those markets? I really don't know. There we go. All right, so we just cut that last position, made another $60. There we go. So we caught the downward pressure that we got. But he's supposed to be talking about the economy. And again, we'll see what happens. CCL is dropping on earnings. All right, so yeah, it's Carnival Cruise. Look at the volatility here. Let's take a look at this. We'll look this up. All right, so Carnival Corporation and PLC reports record-setting operation results, outperforms third quarter guidance, and raises full year 24 guidance for the third time.
So again, they tried to make it sound good. So third quarter net income 1.7 billion, up 60% from 2023. Third quarter revenues hit all-time highs of almost 8 billion, up 1 billion compared to the prior year. Record operating income of 2.2 bill, exceeded 23 levels by 554 million. So they layered it in good, but here we're shorting again here. They layered it in goodness, but we don't know if they're gonna like. Again, every company wants their earnings call and their earnings report to seem good. It doesn't mean it is necessarily, but they phrased it as good. So we'll see if it reacts positively. It's still down a little bit from this report. All right, so we're short again here. We're basically down, or we're flat in this position so far. I think we got to watch NVIDIA too. Look at Carnival starting to rip up. It's not really a blue chip stock that's going to influence the market, but it's starting to push up. It's up here now. There goes NVIDIA. All right, so we just made another small little scalp there. I could have made more, but that's all right. Again, NVIDIA rejecting at this 200 EMA VWAP level. We'll see what happens there. How does the market do in October? So it means once you're funded, you got to pay a $150 one-time activation fee to your funded account is what it means. But it's just a one-time fee to activate your account. All right, guys. So Carnival ripped up. It's up to 18.90s. Almost $19 a share. Palantir this morning. KOSS tends to run. Doesn't October do well? Palantir's flat for the last week straight. What was I trying to... Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's the average monthly returns in the stock market from 1928 to 2023. This is by Yardeni Research is the source here. Yardeni Research. So here is the average returns for the S&P. So again, February we dropped by 0.15%. May we dropped by 0.1%. September we dropped by 1.17%. October we have modest gains, but still some gains on average in October. Now, different studies show different ones. This is from 1928 to 2023, so almost 100 years of data here. But yeah, basically about 0.5% average gains in October. Our short was correct. We should have held on to it a little bit longer. All right, so KinderCare is seeking a $600 million initial public offering that described itself as the largest provider of community-based early childhood education centers in the U.S. Yeah, I remember KinderCare. But they're going to IPO soon. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, October is on average a green month. But it's not like a huge it's not like a big month generally for gains. It's one of the it's actually the smallest positive month, right? So the S&P 500 in October is the slowest positive month, according to some trends. Here's another one based off of. Yeah, so again, what's weird is okay, so here's from 1980 all the way up to 2018. So we're looking at different poll numbers for October here. So here's October again. October showed 0.992% gains in October. September, bad month. August, bad month. October, things start to heat up a little bit. The best months of the year are November, December, and April. Followed by March and May.
October's up there though. You know, in recent months. You know, here's another one. This one says it's for all years. I don't know how accurate this is, but percentage-wise, you know, October average 1% gains here. The slowest months are February or July, I would say, mixed with June. Worst month is definitely last month in September. But again, September this year, we saw positives. Unless we correct a lot today, September, we showed positive, like, good gains in September. You know, so, like, unless we have some monstrously large correction in September or today, you know, and again, maybe with Powell's speeches, we're kind of setting that up. I don't know. But unless we have some massive correction, September's going to be a green month. It's not going to be a September slump month. Usually they call it the September slump because we have weak action. But yeah. $15 a share in Carnival Cruise. Hey, good luck, bro. I hope you make some money. Yeah, October. I hope so. Big Papa Powell speaking today at 1:55 market time, chat. Again, I'm going to cover it like we always do. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Looking at our poll numbers, we said does the SPY break lifetime highs again this week? 53% say yes. Out of 730 votes, 47% say no. No, I don't think so, Dr. Crypto. I think that we just haven't been in a significant one since 2008. You know, like you could say post 2020 we hit one where let me see if I can find a GDP graph. Okay, so it's not going to give me this. I'm not sure what's this side is down. Yeah. I hate these freaking let's see something percentages. Yeah, I'm trying to find. Here's one. This is about the closest I can get. Okay. This is from Trading Economics. You know, so you know, you could argue that we are you could argue that we're in a recession here, right? So here's Trading Economics 2022 where we had -1%. 2020 we had some pretty big drops in GDP. Quarter over quarter is what you want to pay attention to, right? And so again, we just haven't had that big of a week. Like, let me see if I can find a quarter of a quarter. You know, we had one. I'm trying to think about exactly when the time was. Let me ask AI. This is where AI gets really useful. All right, guys, we got 4 minutes left. 4 minutes. No.
The white ones?
No, look upstairs on top of, I think they're Maddie's, but look upstairs on top of the computer on the desk upstairs on the second floor.
Okay.
Yeah, look up there. Maddie might have taken them though. Yeah, the question is, do we have choppiness today? All right, so we're rising up. I think we're green on the day overall.
We're getting ready to day trade futures. I'm pretty sure we're green. Yeah, we're slightly green. That's nice. We'll take it. And AI's been stuck. It's struggling to make this graph. Point is, trying to remember the last time we had 2 consecutive losing. So quarter 1 of 2022, we went down 1.6% GDP. Quarter 2 of 2022, we went down 0.6% of GDP. So we had 2 consecutive losing GDP quarters. So whether you want to call that a recession or not, you know, you could call it one, right? And I would agree we were in a little mini one. But GDP bounced back noticeably quickly. And again, people are going to say, oh, well, the numbers are made up. The numbers are manipulated. No, they're not. Like, these numbers, I'm not saying nothing's manipulated. What I'm saying is that it's sensical. Okay, and what I mean by sensical is that you have to think about what caused the losing GDP in the first place, which is mostly supply chain problems, right? You see it reflected in like Tesla stock supply chain. You see it reflected everywhere in this period of time, is that supply chains were hurt. Like, people were struggling. The pandemic happened. Lockdowns were happening. Supply chains were hurt, right? And so there was a bounce back effect from it where we had losing GDP, losing GDP, losing GDP. And then we had a bounce back from it where we bounced back. And, you know, that meant that GDP bounced back faster than normal. It didn't necessarily mean numbers were wrong. It just meant that because of the previous supply chain issues, we saw a stronger bounce back than we normally see, if that makes sense, right? Market's about to open up right now. And so, yeah. All right, we're back. All right, so yeah, but they kind of added the unemployment thing, to be completely honest, Cal. So like historical standards of recessions are 2 consecutive losing GDP quarters, regardless of unemployment, right? And now people were critical because they threw the unemployment thing out there, where basically they were saying, hey, we're not in a recession. And they justified that by saying, oh, well, unemployment's not low. And to be honest, like in a true recession, unemployment would be low. Too little people of working, right? But the real issue, again, going back to why we had losing GDP in that period of time, NVIDIA's pumping up, right? But going back to why we had losing GDP in that period of time, it's because of supply chain restraints. That's what happened. You know, and so when that started to get fixed, once we kind of eased out of all the lockdowns and everything like that, GDP rebounded very, very quickly. And so it wasn't a conventional recession. And again, like, we're in an election year. And again, politics blinds people because they want to be so critical of what's going on that they always want to frame it in some super end of the world negative scenario, right? And that's not always accurate. And again, I'm very neutral politically, but again, no matter this is currently an election year. And so during election years, what's going to happen, whoever wants to be elected is going to act like it's the worst it's ever been, which is why you need to elect them. Whoever has power and wants to stay elected, they're going to act like things are great, you know, which is why, like, they're pushing for rate cuts and all this stuff. So again, the real answer is somewhere in the middle, as I always say, right? The truth is somewhere in the middle, right? Anyways, NVIDIA pumping up, SPY pumping up. The NASDAQ hasn't really followed it, but look at the SPY go up. SPY's up to 571s. The new lifetime highs in the SPY are 575s. Yeah, I'm not saying things are perfect. Again, I'm not. I'm not saying things are perfect. I'm just not. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, like, it wasn't, we didn't see the same characteristics of a recession that we normally see, you know. And again, it was because it was for a different reason. The reason GDP was so weak was different. Tesla spike it up. So I'm going to buy this dip. It's a little early, but I'm going to try buying it. Oh my gosh. I just realized, chat, that my data is gone. My data's not working. My data's frozen here. What's going on? Yeah, my data's out. Okay, it's back. I don't know what happened to my data here, but it's back. Somehow my data was down. That was weird. I was looking at it like, why isn't the NASDAQ reacting here? Again, big upward movements here. I'm going to short this. It's kind of risky, but hey, we're going to try. All right, so we just made $90. You love to see it. Yeah, what a move. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with my chart, but it's okay. Tesla 261s. I'm going to short again. It's kind of risky, but I think we've got like big risk, big reward potential here. All right, there we go. Another $70. Pretty good trades today. Pretty good trades. So we're up there again here. Let me see how much money I need to make. All right. I'm going to have to start taking some risks here, guys. So we just shorted again. I'm going to have to start taking some risks. I'd love to get into the profit first before I start taking this risk. All right, we're going to add to it. We just took half off. Took more off. All right, so we're out. So we just made another 150 bucks or so. Getting very close to, I might have to start scaling down. We need $500 left. So I'm going to try to get into one more good trade. And again, we're working on getting funded here. So so look at NVIDIA pump all the way back up to 120s. I'm thinking 120s might be like a resistance level. So we're going to try to take a position here. 2 contracts. There we go. 2 contracts again. There we go. All right, so we're out. Whew. All right, very quick shorts. Very quick shorts. We've got to be like less than $400 away here. So I'm going to try to get into one good trade. We're sideways here. I'm going to start shorting this. I'm going to get out here. We just lost 145 bucks. That's fine. I see NVIDIA pushing towards 120 highs, and yeah, there's the break. I just didn't want to get stuck in that. That could create a lot of momentum. Seems like it's a milestone indicator here. NVIDIA really starting to run. All right, so we're shorting this top now. All right, again, we got to take some risks. All right, so we're flat. We just profited some. Oof. I don't want to give too much back. I got to be willing to cut this if it starts to run against me, which it kind of has been.
And the SPY is right at the previous closing price, and Nvidia is breaking highs again. I'm gonna add to this, see if we can fix it, see if we get a pullback. Alright, so we just profited a little bit, now we're flat. We got 2 contracts left. Alright, so they're investigating issues on the charts, loading. It's a really risky time for me to take this position though. Like I'm hoping it works out here, but alright, so there we go. Alright, so we just made about 400. We should be very, very close now. Alright, so I'm going to scale down to micro contracts now, chat. So we are at $2,880. So we are $120 away from getting funded. So we are going to now trade micros and finish it off hopefully here. And that way my risk is limited. We can ultimately like get into some good stuff here and try to make this last little 120 bucks. Shorting with small size. We got 3 contracts now, and that way if we're wrong here, we'll be all right. Two contracts here. We'll add some on the top. So there's 4 contracts. There we go. See, you can see how small the difference is between micro contracts and regular contracts here. So we're flat. I want to get a pullback here. Okay, so there's 4 contracts. Bad fills on the rest. Alright, so we just made something. It wasn't a lot. Might have been like 30 bucks. Let's see it. I think we were correct about the direction too. Yeah, so we need $95 left. Again, slow and steady is what I'm going to do on the rest of these though. And this is what I'm going to also do once I'm funded, is trade these micro contracts here, chat. Alright, so again, small, steady. All right, so we got 4 minutes also, guys, until Chicago PMI starts. 4 minutes left. No, I am already funded. Shah. Yeah, I am already funded. We're trying to get funded another one. So the data comes out at 9:45. 9:45. I'll put this up on screen. It's expected at Chicago PMI expected at 45.3%. Put that up so you can see it. All right, I'm gonna switch to a buy now, a buy system. There we go. All right, so I'm trying to see how much I need now. Yeah, so I am $70 away.
Slow, steady. We got 2 contracts here. 3. Oof, what a drop. Alright, so we got 5 contracts now. Kind of a big size here. I'm gonna see if we can give you the rest of the way. I took 2 of it off. That limited my risk, I guess, but bad fills. I gotta get out of here within the next minute and a half, though. Like, we're kind of flat. We've been going back and forth. I'd love to see an increase here, but we're gonna have to cut this pretty soon. It's not holding my gains long enough to cut it. I gotta take this off here. We got 1 minute left. All right. Yeah, we actually kind of made money on that last little string too. We probably got about 60 bucks left, chat. We've been correct about all the directions you've seen us take here. So again, we shorted this. We started going long here, and we actually did move up some. Tesla, guys, is up to 264s, and I really think it's a buy the rumor, sell the news event. So I'm guessing after the robotaxi event that releases. Again, the other thing to understand about Tesla is that the robotaxi event is at night. Is at like 6 o'clock at night. All right, here goes the report, guys. So, again, here's the data. So, we came in at 46.6, higher than expected manufacturing data. 46.6. Chicago PMI, 46.6. Versus 46.1 expected. So, better than expected economic report. All right, so a big correction back down here. All right, so we're trying to day trade this. Let's see if we can get into something good. We're trying to add to the bottom here. We are taking some risk in this funded account, but I want to see us push up. There we go. All right, so we just made, man, bad fills is what we're getting, and I think, yeah, we have $40 left here. So again, yeah, you can kind of see what we're doing here, where we get the bulk of the trading done, and then once we get the bulk of the trading done, as we get a couple $100 away, we start to scalp the rest here with small micro contracts. That way we limit our risk. We have the best opportunity to get funded. There we go. I'm gonna add some. There we go. I don't think I just got there. I got pretty close. Let's see. Oh, we got it. All right, we did just get it. So we just caught it. Again, you can kind of see we are at $3,005 net in profit. $3,005 in net profit. And so again, if we pull up all these trades here that we got into today, pull up all these trades, what you'll see is that we
we pull up all these trades. What you see is that originally we started taking risks, right? We needed to make about $1,000 today. And this is how you get funded on Top Step X, which is no commissions. So you can do this on Top Step X with no commissions. We just got funded today. What you do is that you take risks with regular NASDAQ contracts, right? You're going to have to take risks. You trade regular NASDAQ contracts, much more volatility. You can kind of see we started making $80, $40, $50 a trade, $60 a trade, $100 sometimes in losses, $110 in profit. And we had much more winners than losses, but we were using big size to get close, right? And then when we pivot towards we're a couple $100 away from getting funded, the profit target that we need to get funded, then we pivot to micro contracts. And so we go from trading much bigger size with regular contracts to micro contracts. We were trading the micro NASDAQ, and that's when we make $8 a trade, $4 a trade, $10, $50, $11, $21, $12 a trade, right? Because that way, when we're only a couple $100 away, our risk, it's unnecessary to take big swings. We don't need to. We can scale down, take small and steady gains, and ultimately get funded. And so again, we got funded again today. Feels good, man. Feels good. We'll see if we continue. I can't guarantee anything, but Top Step X has the best edge in the game. Zero commissions. Beautiful platform, and just check it out. You know, pretty nice. If you want to check it out, I'll put the link up right now. But again, you can kind of see it live how we got funded there today. Feels good, man. Feels good. If you want to check out the link, they are an affiliate or sponsor of mine, so I'm biased, of course. PMI did come in higher than expected, but yeah, so we are actually funded on this account now, so that's nice. So they'll fund us before the end of the day. So we'll pivot to our regular account now. And again, we got Jerome Powell, Big Papa Powell speaking later on this morning, so just be ready, chat. And again, if you haven't already checked out Top Step, again, Top Step gives you a demo. They test your skill. You pass the test, they fund you. You fail, you only lose $49. Like if I would have lost and gotten eliminated, you know, I got to make $3K in profit without losing $2K on a $50K funded account. If I weren't to hit that and actually succeed at it, I only would have lost $49. And now I have a $50K funded account, 90% split, no PDT rule. I can withdraw from it if I build up some profit. It's a lot cheaper getting started if you want to learn how to day trade, or if you're a good enough day trader and just don't have that much money. It's a lot cheaper to get started here. Most day traders lose. I think that's the same here as it is with anywhere. Most day traders lose. It's a lot cheaper to lose on Top Step. And again, it's the biggest edge in funding. What I just did, again, I traded micro contracts, 74 cents in fees per trade, a tiny amount of fees per trade. So it's just a powerful thing. You can check out the link in the description, or you can check out the link above you. No, it's just futures. Wow, I hate this. So it's just futures. So I can trade, like I can trade the NASDAQ. I can trade the S&P 500, basically the SPY price action. I can trade the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. And so a lot of Forex traders should be trading futures too. Another stock, like just to show you guys some of the stocks that are running up this morning that's kind of dragging everything. Number one, NVIDIA pumped all the way back up over 120. If you look at it right here on the bottom, NVIDIA pumped up all the way to 120. Supermicro had a big rebound this morning, basically filled the entire gap that it was facing here. Like look at, not the entire gap, it filled about half of the big drop from, I can't remember what the drop was from last week, but Supermicro back up to 430s. You know, that's definitely benefiting a lot of stuff. For this account, it took me a couple days to pass. It took me like 3 or 4 days. I'll have to go back and look. Like I'll show you the stats behind it afterwards. Again, another stock, Tesla, has been on a ride the last few. Tesla's been on a ride the last few weeks. Look at this. 264s for Tesla right now. It's pumping up. But yeah, take a look at everything here.
Yeah, so I think today's, or wait. Yeah, so here is my daily account balance on this account. So this is kind of like the road it took. So it took me like 4 or 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like I used to try to just swing for the fences on these accounts to where like I would have to, like I used to try to just take massive risk in these accounts. But what I started to do was just trade small. Like I could make $300, $400, $500 a day. And so I can get funded in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days is what it took me. I had a 2-to-1 profit factor, you know. So my average losing trade on this account is a little bit worse than my average winning trade, but you can kind of see. Here's my net cumulative P&L. Yeah, you can kind of see the days that it took to get in here. But yeah, that's the way, I think. All right, guys, we got Big Papa Jerome Powell speaking later on today, guys. So I'll see you guys later. We'll be back. Again, we'll be back later on today at 1:55 market time is when Powell speaks. 1:55 market time. So we will be streaming the entire thing live, as always, like we always do here, chat. So again, if you haven't already, stick around. We appreciate it. Yeah, we'll keep the growth up. We'll be back later on for Big Papa Powell. I'll see you guys later. All right, thanks, chat.